All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at the application. I hope you got on well and found some interesting vulnerabilities along the way. So, I'm going to walk you through some of the main things that I wanted you to find and things that we've looked at throughout the course. If you found extra stuff, then congratulations. And let's dive in. So here we are at the main page. So first thing I want to do is look at these buttons. So it seems like we have three major buttons plus a login and register. So I'm just going to click on view current stock. And it seems like we have three types of coffee. So Revival, Rise and Shine, and Jitters. And they come from different regions. And so we can see Ethiopia, Brazil, and they have different roast levels. So I'm just going to click this. This brings us back to the home page. And also what I'm going to do is just switch on my proxy. I probably should have done this straight away. So I'm just going to come back and browse to here and then come back. And this is just so I'm capturing all the traffic as I walk through the application. And I'm just going to go with track your order. Seems like we need an order ID. Nothing comes back if we just enter ASD. Order coffee gives me a login screen. Okay, so this is about the time where I think about registering, and I'm just going to register a user called Alex. New user created. Close this. Looks like we can just go ahead and log in. And we successfully log in, and we notice there's some slight UI changes. So we have a logout button instead. And again, just have a quick look around, see if anything interesting has changed. And come to order coffee, and it looks like we can place an order here. So something that I also want to look at is I have this cookie plugin. So just have a look at this. This looks like we were given a session token, which looks like a JWT because it's got two dots in it and looks like it's base64. So this looks like the header up here, then the payload, and then the signature at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and order 1 kilogram of jitters. And we get order placed and we have an order ID. So I'm just going to load up mousepad, paste this in so that we can see, refer to this later if we need to, and then come back and click close. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to paste it in here to see if I can track my order. And it does look like we have an order. And the username is Alex and it's pending. And this looks a little weak. It's not a very long, unique ID and looks like it's mostly numbers with one letter as well. So we might think about testing that soon. So I'm just going to come over to Burp Suite and we can have a quick look through the traffic. So I like to kind of see what's going on here. And I can see a lot of /v1 and /coffee.php. So let's take a look and see what this endpoints is giving us. And I will just move myself out of the way so that we can see what's going on. And this looks like it just returns the 3 available coffees from the system. We have a functions.js. This looks like this is the front end that's handling all of the requests. So yeah, you can see check if logged in, close buttons, stuff like this. We might come back and take a look at that later on. And we have this track. So ID is ASD. So this was the first tracking query that we did. So we can maybe try and brute force this because we have a order ID now that we can use. We might have an idea of how we can get other coffees. And we have /auth. So this was our new user created. And there are multiple calls to /auth. So this looks like this one was the login one, which returned our JSON web token. And then we have an order here. And this is quite interesting because when I placed an order, I didn't specify my username or email address. So it seems like the front end actually generated this. Now, this isn't necessarily a problem, but what looks like has happened is it's taken the information from my session ID, placed it into the request. If this isn't verified in the backend, what might happen is we may be able to place users on the behalf of another user. So let's take a quick look at the token next. I don't think there's much else to look for in here, but I hope this kind of gives you an idea of how I like to approach an application. I click through everything, have a look and see what's in the requests. Something that I did forget is adding these images, other binaries, and CSS. I like to be able to see everything. And let's take a look at this JWT. So I'm just going to go jwt.io, scroll down, oops, accept the cookies on here, paste this in, and as you can see, we have a username, Alex. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of A/B testing. So I'm going to close this, log out, register a new user called Alex2, and the password is going to be Alex2. And hopefully I get a new cookie, which doesn't look like... Oh, I need to log in first. So Alex2, close. And I get a new cookie. So let's copy this and paste. And here we have Alex2. If you don't have this plugin, by the way, you can also do things like, whoops, let's come into here. If you want to see the cookies, you can just do document.cookie, and you can grab the cookie from here as well. Let me zoom in so you can see that. So this is another way of grabbing the cookie from the console. But we can see we have Alex2. So since we're logged in as Alex2, what I'm going to do is try and order something as Alex1 and see whether this works. I would try just changing the name and then sending it. And then I would also try sending it without the signature to see whether it accepts a null signature. And I might then try other attacks like changing the algorithm and header injection and things like that. But to start off with, what I want to do is test the basic functionality of the website. And then I kind of go deeper and deeper based on the behavior and the responses I get. So I'm going to click order coffee, and then I'm going to come to BebSuite, and I'm going to switch intercept on, and I'm just going to hit place order. And I don't think I actually need the token here. So, oh, yes, I do. I'm going to paste this token in, this updated token, change the name to Alex because I'm currently logged in as Alex2. So I want to see if Alex1, if I can place an order on behalf of Alex1. Seems like it went okay. And you can ignore this green highlighting. It's just from this JWT editor keys. If you want to install this plugin, by all means, but it will highlight when it detects JSON web tokens, and it does a bunch of other things as well. And I get this order placed. Now, if I check this order, so I can come back, track my order, I did indeed place an order on behalf of Alex, even though I was logged in as Alex2. So this is broken function level authorization. I'm able to carry out an action on the behalf of another user, or create an action or do something that is tied to another user account, not necessarily mine. So this is definitely a really important finding and something that we should be reporting. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a fresh token. So let's log back in as Alex2 again. And I want to test to see whether this is using a weak secret. So I'm just going to come in here, copy this. And the reason I'm testing this is because I saw HS256 here instead of the RSA version. And that means that we can try and crack this token. I'm going to come over to my terminal, Control-Shift-T to open a new tab. And then we could use Hashcat for this, but I'm just going to use JWT tool. And I'm going to do -C to crack, -D to specify a word list. So user share word lists. Let's just use Rocky for the time being. And then I'm going to copy in the token. Hit enter. And that was very fast. It says here, coffee is the correct key. So not only have we discovered that we can carry out actions on behalf of a user because the token is not correctly checked in the backend, we've also found that a weak secret is used. So that's two critical issues that we have found. Now, we haven't done much discovery beyond clicking around the application, so I think it's about time that we come back to here and we take a look and see what else we can find. So I'm just going to copy and paste the URL, and we already know we have /v1. So let's come back to here and use fuff-u. And what I'm going to do is I want to see if there's anything else behind /v1. So if there are any other endpoints. So we have coffee.php, auth.php. What else can we find? So come here, word list, user share, word lists. We'll use deb. We'll use the big one. And we want to use the extension PHP as well, because we know that a lot of the endpoints have the .php extension on them too. So instantly we find coffee and track and admin. We haven't seen admin before. So let's just come back to here and do /admin. Whoops, /v1/admin. And we get a forbidden, which is not surprising. But we can continue our attack. So we can do something like recursion and turn on recursion. But often I just like to step through and see. It depends on how many endpoints we're dealing with, really. So let's do admin/fuzz. And we do hit this result orders.php. And this looks like it returns all of the orders for us. So this is a endpoint without any protection at all. So this is a really, really important finding. And we'd say that, hey, even though it looks like the front-end application isn't accessing admin, we didn't see it anywhere in our logs. That's kind of security through obscurity. It's hidden in a directory, but we know that it's quite easy to discover and browse to directories. And in the real world, you'll find things like configuration files in random directories, and you will find stuff that isn't intended for the end user, but it's still live on the site because the front end simply doesn't point to it. Maybe somebody hasn't found it yet. And I think the last major vulnerability for us is these order IDs. So if we grab one of these, we need to test for broken object level authorization. So if we come back to localhost, because we have a track order functionality, we should only be able to see the orders that we created. So if I just log out and I log in as Alex to make sure that I'm testing correctly, come to track order. And if we grab an ID that belongs to a different email, so we can see this one belongs to ASD2. Paste this in, and we can indeed see the orders of other users. So this is broken object level authorization. This is a Bowler vulnerability. If you wanted to go a little bit further, you may be able to harvest these tokens, take them into Burp Suite, do some analysis on them in Sequencer, and find some more information there and see whether you can actually forge or easily brute force these IDs as well. So that's it for the mid-course capstone. I hope you enjoyed the challenge. And even though the application isn't very large, I wanted you to be able to focus on smaller parts of the application, understand how they work, and try to exploit them methodically. From now on, we'll be ramping it up a little bit and looking at slightly more complex attacks such as mass assignment and server-side request forgery. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the modules. See you in the next section.